You're listening to the Rogers Waterfowl Podcast. This is Aaron Jones.
Chandler Smith here. Let's talk some waterfowl. So how much time we got left in teal season? I know when this is going out. Teal season's over.
22nd in Missouri.
That's Missouri. What do you know what Kansas is?
Kansas just opened last weekend.
Yeah, it just opened on Saturday. It's 2 weeks, so
It's about the same.
yeah, 22nd.
I don't have a calendar. I'm going to pull my phone out and look. You got yours right there.
Okay, let me look.
Because Missouri, it's about 3 weekends, I think.
Yeah, 3 weekends, but yeah, I don't think it's full 3 weeks, is it?
It's the 29th in Kansas.
Okay, so it's an extra.
Yeah.
It's 3 full weekends there too, so it's an extra weekend. It opens a little bit later, which I don't know. It seems like, I don't know. Sometimes it seems like the teal birds aren't here when it opens in Missouri. But what are your thoughts? Do you hunt both states, Josh?
No, I just mainly hunt in Kansas. I might get into Missouri this fall, depending on time, since I've moved a little closer. But I've spent most of the time hunting in Kansas. I was in Nebraska a couple weeks ago, teal hunting for their opener. So that opened last Saturday. So kind of getting a little double whammy there, extending the season out throughout pretty much all of September.
2 openers. That's what I like to do for turkeys. I like to chase them in multiple states to just extend that season. And, of course, Nebraska, it's very generous. Clear in March. But anyway, so, yeah, I haven't even chased a teal bird yet. You guys went, didn't you, Chandler?
Mm-hmm. We had good reports Friday, and everybody shot them up real well. And then Saturday, for some reason, I think it was warm and full moon and not a lot of shooting.
Yeah.
Like they've done their moving, they've settled down. They had plenty of light at night. I mean, shoot, you could see clear as day in 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. And I guarantee they were just buzzing around. I think we saw some, I know we saw some before shooting light, but after that it was just ghost quiet. Nobody else was ringing them out. And that's what we heard from other places around Missouri too, that Saturday was a little rough. But it kind of got warmer. I don't know. Moon was out, but
Facts.
stuff
Friday,
like that
yeah,
happens.
Friday was awesome. It was like 78 degrees and cool, and then Saturday turned right around and got right back up to almost 90. It was awful.
Yeah, 90. That was like 92 or something.
I don't know. I'm tired of this crap.
Yeah. I know Sunday it was
about
like 90, 98, like heat index or something.
It was awful, and the mosquitoes. I ran into a few. We were setting up ground blinds this weekend for deer season, and there was a few that landed on me, and I'm pretty sure I could have put a saddle on them and rode them into the sunset. They're just giant mosquitoes, and I get so tired of them. And everybody, teal hunters, dove hunters, deer hunters, everybody's tired of the mosquitoes and the bugs.
Yeah.
It's time to get them.
Get that first frost done and over with.
Oh, absolutely. Chandler, who are we talking with today?
We got Josh Peck, YouTube channel Outdoor Limits here, joined up with us today to talk about duck hunting, public land hunting, different ways and all that stuff. Kind of in the middle of teal season right now, and by the time this is probably out, we'll be after. But I know Josh has been chasing teal around. We've been working, but so sounds like he's had some pretty good hunts. So, and he's got it all vlogged, videoed, so you can check that out. But yeah, how long you been doing this YouTube stuff?
So I've been doing YouTube pretty seriously for about 4 years now. And, it kind of started out as just filming hunts with my buddies just to post and look back on or whatever. But then it started gaining some traction. People started liking it and subscribing to the channel. And it eventually came to the point where like, oh, wow, this is like actually a thing. This is like because at this point in time, there was really no duck hunting on YouTube. It was just everybody filming hunts with their buddies and posting it. Nothing super, super well done. Just put a GoPro somewhere and post it. And once it took off, I mean, it hasn't stopped. So it's really cool to see the growth and what things are turning into.
Well, and you got to think 4 to 5 years ago, I mean, everybody pretty much still had some sort of satellite subscription TV service. And I mean, Netflix was big, but not as big as it is now. So about that 3 to 4 year window, that's when people started ditching, the DirecTV, the Dish networks, and started doing a lot of online and streaming TV. And YouTube has really taken off over the last, I would say, at least 5 years. And then, Netflix got huge too. So that's when people just cut the cords and started doing a lot of online streaming. So, I think you timed it right and you hit it well right there. So
Yeah, I got pretty lucky.
Yeah, you told me you were starting to really dive into waterfowl hunting years and years ago, and you were struggling with finding the content on YouTube to learn anything or pick up any tips or any tricks, stuff like that. So years ago, I mean, what was it? How far, was that?
Like 2012.
2012. So it's not that far, but it's still quite a bit ago. I mean, what we got, 6, 7, 8 years now?
Or, 7, yeah.
Yeah, 7. So 7 years ago, there wasn't much on there, to learn as far as so now. And that's what your niche is, you think?
Well, yeah, that's off-season stuff. It's pretty nice to be able to do that, but also film the hunts is a little bit more rewarding. But it's nice to be able to provide that content to people, because I've been in those shoes before where it's like, I don't have anywhere to learn from. I don't have parents that hunt. I don't have grandparents that hunt. Nobody in my family to teach me. None of my friends hunt. What do I do? It's something I want to get into. So first thing you do is look it up on YouTube. You want to learn how to change the oil in your car. Where do you go?
Yeah, YouTube.
You go to YouTube.
I'm a great mechanic as long as I have YouTube.
You're a great YouTube mechanic. That's exactly right. Well, and that's the thing, too, that I think has changed just in the last couple of years is everybody always thought of YouTube as I need to know how to do something. Well, now people are using it as a form of entertainment, not necessarily just on how to do something, but like Houston or something. I mean, he'll watch it for hours upon hours. That's what he does. He doesn't watch TV at all. He just watches YouTube. So not only is it a how-to platform, but I think now it's a viable streaming entertainment channel, which it is, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's free to the public. Mm-hmm. So all it takes is an internet connection, and boom, you got hours of content, hours of entertainment.
And I mean, I know, cell phones have a lot of unlimited plans now, but I think everybody still has Wi-Fi access at some point. But, if you don't or whatnot, it doesn't matter. YouTube is free however you want to run it, whether you're on a phone or on a computer or whatnot.
Crazy things, all it's changed.
And of course, phones get so big now that it's just like having a small tablet. So gone are the days of the tiny little iPhone 4s where you don't want to watch it on your tiny little screen.
Yeah, so my parents are in the process of moving right now, and my mom found her old BlackBerry.
Nice.
And like the palm.
Like the one with like the little ball in the middle. And you rolled her around to get on the screen with your mouse clicker. But that thing was just the size of a deck of cards.
Yeah.
It's tiny. And the keyboard, you try and type on it, it's just...
How in the heck did you hit those buttons? I don't remember those things. I had trouble with them back then.
Well, Ryan and I were out in the warehouse yesterday, and we were doing something on one of the scan guns, and the little keyboard didn't pop up like on a phone, and it was like an old flip phone, so you had to do like the T9 texting where you have to hit a button 2 or 3 times to get A or
T9.
3 times to get a C. And I was like, oh my God, this brings back so many awful memories of that.
What was the setting where like you guessed what you were thinking?
That was T9.
T9.
Yeah.
So T9. So you either had to do the classic way, which is
hit a button 3 times to get to C.
There were so many people back in the day that were like super fast, and they only liked the traditional way. But you'd hear, it would sound like a million buttons at a time, but it was really they said 3 words.
Yeah.
But oh geez, that's a while ago.
Oh yeah, I'm aging myself there. Did you ever have a flip phone?
Oh yeah, that was my first phone. Was a flip phone.
Yeah,
Yes. Nice
flip phone before the Razor too. I mean, yeah. There's some probably listeners out there who never seen a Razor or something. No. One of those old flip phones. Before that, my first one was like a Sprint, had the antenna on it and everything. It was a little rough, but.
Did you always pull the antenna out thinking you were going to get better reception?
I think I did when I needed to, and I don't think it ever worked. No. I was like, I can't hear anything, and then I'm like, I'm gonna pull this out, maybe I'll make it better, and that didn't work.
Wow.
Anyways,
man, those are the days.
So
T9 texting and antennas.
Yeah.
We kind of got lost on
and
that.
No internet.
And no internet. Wow.
Well, that's where we've been. That's where we've been, and here's where we're at now with YouTube and watching duck hunting for hours.
Yeah.
But going back to, you said like you didn't have parents or anything to teach you. I think that's a very common thing right now with some of the outdoor industry in general. And I think you might not think about it, but how much YouTube is influencing the people who or maybe not as confident to get started on their own, or they just don't have all the resources or the buddies, or the family that's kind of raised them up in it. If they're wanting to get going, YouTube and stuff like that is really, I think, a really great way to help us get more people into our sport, which helps everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, you hear all the time about the decline in duck hunters, and it seems like with this whole YouTube thing popping up and all this other content on social media, it's gaining a lot of traction and getting a lot of more people into the sport.
Yeah. I think if you guys ever looked at your YouTube channel, you got to talk about how it's mainly public land. It's anybody can do it. Mm-hmm. That's one thing that you kind of had a lot of good YouTube hunts, and you're like, every average Joe could have walked up here and done exactly the same thing that you did, and had a great day. Yeah, it just takes a little bit of effort and scouting.
I think that's what the appeal to the YouTube is you're watching the Outdoor Channel or Sportsman Channel. These guys are going out with a lot of outfitters on private land, doing a lot of field hunts. Well, on the flip side of the coin, on YouTube, you're seeing all these regular guys just like you, some random college student, and he's going out 3 o'clock in the morning, grinding it, trying to build a blind on public land, shooting 5 mallards and getting out of there by 9 o'clock. And that's what I think really appeals to people, is the fact that they see it and they're like, I could do that same thing.
Absolutely. It's very relatable. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like you're saying on the Outdoor Channel, there's guys that are, they're deer hunting. Whereas if I wanted to go there and shoot a deer, the guy's going to say, yeah, 10 grand. Or if I want to go shoot an elk, the guy's like, yeah, 15, 20 grand. It's not relatable to most people. YouTube is absolutely relatable.
Yeah, I personally find, a lot of times when I see a hunting video where they're like, hey, we're at this outfitter, immediately I lose a connection. Like it's immediately from the viewer, I'm like, oh, what? Okay, it's going to be, they're going to bang it up. They're going to have a great day. But, when someone goes out there and says, man, I've been scouting this place, we asked permission, all that stuff starts clicking to me. Like, I found these birds. No one's hunting them. I got permission on this little slough they've been using every night. All that stuff, it relates to me like, exactly how we do things, and that's what sometimes you miss on some of those outdoor, just the bigger shows that kind of use outfitters and stuff. I mean, outfitters are great if you want to go have a great time, but maybe it's just not in the budget for everybody too.
No, and that's one of those things that I think if you're, a lot of people don't have the luxury of having multiple days off in a year or, paid time off or anything like that. And if you've got, 3 days you're going to be able to hunt out of duck season, then sure, it makes sense to go with an outfitter. If you're only going to have 3 days you can hunt, that's it, and you want to bang up the ducks, that's maybe the way to do it. But, if you are short on funds or, you like to go out and be a weekend warrior, public land could be fun. Yeah. It could be frustrating.
If you're excited
it can be fun, yeah.
If you're excited about DIY,
Well, and I get as much fun out of putting the work in, too.
Oh, yeah, me too. It's a blast when you're just driving around and you finally find this group of birds, especially if you find like a little honey hole on public land, which I've done before. So like something I would do is just look on the maps, look on Google Maps, see if there's any low spots in fields where it hold water and things like that. And then I'd also watch the birds while I'm out hunting or scouting, seeing where they're going. Most people on public land, they see duck hunting marsh, and that's the only place they hunt. Well, there's also big lakes that you can hunt. There's also fields, and those low spots that hold water can be pretty dang good. So I've had a lot of really good hunts where you're just off the beaten path. You're out somewhere where nobody really knows about, and you just crush it.
Absolutely. I would agree with that 100%. Like, I hunt out in Kansas, which is where you're from, and the Kansas River is just insanely high right now. Mm-hmm. Insanely high. So the spots that we have along the Kansas River are probably not going to be worth a damn again this year just because the river's so high. But we have a field that butts up right next to that has a nice little low spot in it, and it's right next to that river too. So they can just, if they don't want to sit in that river or fight that current, they can just hop up, come over the trees. There's a field. There's a nice 1 acre spot of water right out in the middle in that low spot, and that's our plans for this fall.
Yeah, I think that's going to happen to a lot of people this year. Is they're going to be finding sheet water and having to hunt that because there's not a lot of food in public marshes right now because they weren't able to get water off of them. The lake levels are super high. I mean, these birds, they're going to be struggling to find food on public land spots just because of the high water. So they're going to have to go elsewhere. It's like this past weekend, I was hunting down by Cheyenne Bottoms, and, there was a good amount of teal there, but most of them were leaving the bottoms to go find food elsewhere. So it was just kind of an interesting thing to see.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you run across that in Nebraska as well?
No, with Nebraska, we were in kind of like the rainwater basin area, so they've had quite a bit of rain, but there was a lot of smartweed around. Like, there was just good aquatic vegetation for the ducks, and I think that made a big difference up there.
What did you guys see? Where did you guys hunt? You were...
Secret.
Okay, it's a secret. But was it public?
Yeah, it was public.
Did you see a lot of vegetation as far as planted?
No, we didn't. That was actually surprising because usually the places we've, that's the normal places we've hunted before, certain areas I saw some vegetation. I knew we should have gone down a different arm, but the place we went, we felt like with the wind was going to have the best, visibility and the most traffic. And we get there and it's just water. It's rough. It's just water, no vegetation, and should have gone somewhere else. But that, we just got back from out of town and didn't really have time to scout. We just went out and winged it. But anyways, but I was going to say something earlier about finding those spots, like using your satellite's great, but getting out in the off season and doing the other things like fishing and turkey hunting, you'll run into duck hunting spots you never know about. I've gone on Google Earth and looked at an area, and when they took that satellite picture, this little area over here wasn't full of water. But when I went there crappie fishing, there's a little, overflow slough that's full of water. And you can't see that on a satellite. But when you're out there and you find it, you can kind of keep that in the back of your mind. And then by hunting season, it's still there. And I bet you can find birds in it during that time. So turkey season, fishing season, all through the summer, just kind of pay attention to your water levels, and you might find some things if you're out fishing a reservoir or if you're whatever, on the river kind of thing.
Well, and Josh, like you were saying, as far as using satellite to look for low spots, as much water as we've had this spring, I think there's going to be a lot of spots that are low spots that typically have not held water that probably are going to hold water this year. So I think there's going to be a lot of honey holes this year.
Yeah, so that public marsh that I hunted up in Nebraska, normally on a normal year, there's no water in it. But this year, it was flooded just like a marsh, cattails everywhere. It's normally a public spot where people go and upland hunt. And it just turned into just a low spot that held water and just smashing teal in there.
Yes. So, yes, that's what you guys need to look for. Josh Peck with the clutch tip of the day. Look for low spots that typically, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, low spots that are typically upland hunting. That's a good idea.
Walk-in hunting areas. Does Missouri do that?
Missouri, no. Kansas, I know it does. And Missouri, they really don't do that WEHA program. So I'm trying to think if there's any. There really isn't any walk-in programs in Missouri, is there?
I don't think so. Not in the same style I think your guys are talking about.
Yeah.
Is that where like it's
the farmer basically just says this is a walk-in area, for certain times of the year. He can designate spring and fall or just spring,
he
or
joins a program kind of thing.
And he gets paid for it, kind of like the conservation department. But I don't think Missouri does, which is kind of shocking. But Missouri is really good about lots of conservation areas, lots of public land hunting in that way. So I don't know if that's how they offset their conservation dollars by doing that, but it is what it is. But
we seem to have a pretty good amount of public duck hunting area.
Oh, yeah.
So I think we do all right.
Yeah, so bringing that around, I do get a lot of questions from people saying, how do you find public land spots? And it's kind of an interesting question. I'm like, seriously, you don't know? Well, I'd say the best way to do it is just go on to your Department of Wildlife's website. Kansas does a great job telling you what's public land, and I'm not so sure about Missouri. I'm sure it differs state by state, but normally your Department of Wildlife will give you pretty good information.
It does. I mean, it does really well. The thing that you have to put your effort into is finding out if it's a public land spot with good waterfowl or good deer. Because you could find out, you could go to a place thinking that you're going to deer hunt it, and it's just marsh. But then the website, I think it only says, waterfowl hunting, like, fair or whatever, and then, like, deer hunting fair. They don't really give a very detailed. you might have to really get in on the satellite to figure out what these places are good for. But once you figure it out, or if you go look at it yourself once, then you'll kind of figure out what this, conservational area is for. And they're probably all for lots of different things. It's just some places have a designated, flooded marsh area. Some places just have some river access, or just some ponds, some bigger lakes that you can hunt. You just got to really dig in to really define. And then you can also jump on and ask Google a broad question about, is this conservation area good for duck hunting? And you will probably find somebody say no or yes or don't tell nobody kind of thing, But you can find all that stuff out. You can find out if you can waterfowl hunt it, but it's harder to find out if it's a good waterfowl hunting spot, and it might take just a little bit more research to find out how great of a spot it is.
Yeah, and then of course in Missouri, all the conservation areas, they'll list the regulations. A lot of time it'll say, archery hunting only for deer, or it'll say non-toxic shot only for birds, upland, waterfowl, whatever. So you really got to check the regulations. And I think a lot of places, it might be open to certain types of hunting, but not others. So it's kind of a case-by-case basis there. But I know that I've used the Kansas Wildlife and Parks website. It is pretty good. And so is the Missouri Department of Conservation's website. It usually gives maps of the area, and it kind of breaks them down into what area is what. But with what you were saying, Chandler, it is pretty much cut and dry. It seems like in Missouri, it's either a good deer and turkey area or a waterfowl area. It's not kind of wrapped all into one. You'll find them, though.
Yeah, sometimes you can find the honey hole deer areas in the big marsh conservation.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't mean to say that out loud.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. But there, the big duck conservation areas in Missouri, they pretty much spell it out that, hey, this is controlled and managed from the conservation for ducks, But then those are usually draw places, draw in the morning, get reservations, all that stuff.
Similar to like a Cheyenne Bottoms, like Grand Pass, Bob Brown, Nottoway Valley, Eagle Bluffs, Otter Slough.
Yeah, all that stuff. So now what I'm talking about is like the places that are open, like to the public. You can just, it's open to waterfowlers, first come, first serve. Those places, they don't say like, okay, they're managed for waterfowl hunting. They just say waterfowl hunting is fair. And what does that mean? Does that mean that, there is 2 ducks that land on a pond? Maybe. I don't know. But you just got to do a little bit more research to find out how good it is. Maybe ask around, go check it out right before season, see if anything's using it, and go from there. Because I know there's some spots that we do that's open to everybody. It just, not everybody knows about it, and it doesn't really say online that it is great duck hunting, but it's really decent a lot of times.
Mm-hmm. So let's get back to, you were talking about, you were growing up, you were trying to find videos on YouTube on, how to duck hunt, how to spot, scout for ducks, or how to do whatever. And so you kind of thought, well, I'm just going to start making videos to see if I can help other people out, right?
Yeah. So that didn't really come until 2 to 3 years ago. So after the first season, I was at maybe 2,000 or 3,000 subscribers, get a couple thousand views on a video. The second season's when I really kind of hit it hard, started changing up the style to more of a vlog style, taking the viewers along with the hunt. And after that season ended, I was like, well, I'm kind of like in a good spot here. I'm going to keep doing this. How can I extend waterfowl content throughout the spring, summer, and into the fall? So then I started doing Waterfowl Wednesdays, where I'd talk about any duck hunting related thing, whether how to make a jerk cord or how to call ducks. Here's how you do a hail call. Here's how you do your feeder call. Those kind of things, just little information videos that somebody might want to know. And I found like the calling videos in particular, they do very well. A lot of people want to learn how to become a better caller, which I do too. Yeah. But being able to provide that content, that didn't really occur to me as like I'm making an impact until I started getting all these comments from people saying, man, your videos are helping me out a lot. You're inspiring me to go and do what you're doing, and I'm making videos now, or I just went out and shot my first ducks on my first duck hunt because of your videos. You taught me how to call. Like, that's when I knew I was making an impact, and why what I do is such a valuable thing to people is because I'm able to help them and able to give them the information that they might not have. They could have no grandparents that hunted and with a single mom, it's just something they wanted to get into.
Sure.
And they just didn't have those resources. So it's pretty neat. It's great to have it become like a job and be able to do it and But I think the bottom line is being able to make that impact in people's lives is pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. You always feel good when you know you can help someone out, and especially if it's a new hunter. I mean, we've talked about it on podcasts before that we certainly enjoy hunting, but when we can take someone new or introduce someone new and just, watching them have success as well. So, I mean, sure, you don't get to see these people or take them with you, but the positive feedback they provide, letting you know that, hey, what you put out there on YouTube has absolutely been instrumental in helping me get started. I mean, yeah, that's got to feel great.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But, even then, it's all these other people have been hunting for 20, 30 years. They come on and they're like, man, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. I was telling my dad about that last night. For some reason, he was talking about the hunter ed. I took it with my dad in St. Joe a long time ago when you sat in a college classroom and you had dads and kids and everything. Well, now it sounds like that you can just do it online. But I was telling my dad, I think whenever we had it in the classroom, I think the adults were learning just as much as the kids were in this hunter ed course. But now I think that you can do it online, and I think I kind of like the whole drive up and you had a bunch of dads and sons and daughters all learning and talking about hunting, talking about deer stories and stuff. But something new, I need to look into it because I'm not going to give everybody. I don't have all the information, but they have kind of a duck hunters, a wing shooters education class offered in Missouri.
Because I know they do a bow hunters and a trapping ed.
But they do have a wing shooters education class. So maybe we'll find some details on that and post it in the bottom. But I do know a little bit, and they're harder to put on because they take a little bit more time to get everybody grouped together and a place to do it. But I think it's pretty neat. I think we'll have to go to one just to see what it's all about.
Exactly.
But I thought he was telling me one of our conservation guys who spoke at our whitetail event was telling me about it, and it sounded pretty cool. So I need to figure more about that. And I think it needs to be. I don't think a lot of people know about it.
No, I hadn't even heard about that.
Yeah. So.
That is kind of cool. Awesome.
Yep, that's pretty much it on that part.
Did you do any dove hunting?
I did do some dove hunting.
How'd that go?
Well, opening weekend wasn't super great, but this past weekend I went out to central Kansas and hunted with some guys that I've known for about a year or so now, and they had a really good spot for doves. We set up in a pasture where there's just this little low spot that held water, like one of these occasions where there's normally not water in here, and it was just like a pond, maybe 10 yards by 10 yards wide, and the doves would come over the hill, cup up like ducks into the mojos, and just dive bomb right into the pond.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we shot I think 35 the first day and 28 the second day.
So were you hunting water?
Yeah, we were hunting over water in a pasture pond.
That's funny.
Oh,
that's funny. I've seen them do that to mojos before too, where they just cup up, and then they just glide right down over into the mojos.
No, by the time I got my gun on my shoulder, they were on top of the mojo. It was the craziest thing I've seen. It was probably the best dove hunting I've ever had. It was awesome.
So will that be on your YouTube channel?
Yeah, it will be. First video from that will be going up this Friday.
Okay.
So by the time this is out, it's going to be out there. You can find that.
Yeah, so this will go out in several weeks, so people will be getting ready for big duck season.
Okay.
So, yeah.
You guys want to talk about big duck season a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. What do you have planned? Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri?
Okay. Yeah, so things just keep getting busier and busier and busier every year. So I'm going to be starting out with the Nebraska opener on October 5th, and then do some hunting that weekend. And then from there, I'll go back home, and then that next weekend, I'll go down to central Kansas for the early zone opener. And I don't know how long I'll stick around for that because I do work a part-time job, so I can't just camp out and just hunt every day, which I'd like to, but it's kind of nice to be able to take a little bit of a break, keep me from burning out and catch up on some sleep. But then the third weekend in October, nothing's really going on that weekend. And then the weekend after that, Big Duck opens. So it's pretty much teal season. And then after teal season ends, I've got a week break, and then it's back at it for big ducks. So it's going to be a busy September and October.
Yes. And then through January.
All the way through January, even into February, with the goose season.
Oh, yeah.
And then snow goose into March.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just when do I have time to just
Yeah, if you really want to do it all, you think about it. The deer hunters talk about, oh man, the bow hunting season. September 15th to January 15th. It's awesome. Super long. But if you think about duck hunting and anything, waterfowl hunting, you could really stretch a season into about the same, or actually longer. with snows. You could really stretch it.
And it just depends on how far you're willing to travel as well. Because, I know some places September 1st, duck season opens. So, if you were really dedicated, you could probably start out in Canada or up in North Dakota with the early goose season and all that stuff. So you could pretty much be hunting waterfowl from first day of September until middle of April, most likely.
Mm-hmm. I think some of the last conservation orders close in May, clear up north. So if you wanted to get just downright crazy with it, but usually by about March, I've had enough with the waterfowl, and I take about a 3-week break, and then it's on to the turkeys.
Yeah. So it seems like everybody's mind switch after duck season ends.
Well, and I usually track snow geese a couple times, and then I just get mad at them and frustrated, and then I'm just like, okay, that's enough, and then I just on to turkey. So snow geese tend to frustrate me more than
snow geese frustrate everybody.
Yeah, I enjoy hunting them maybe twice a year. That's about it. Because then I just get mad at them. And I still sound like I'm in a daggum cave. I don't know what's going on with this mic. Sorry for all you listeners out there. I'll
try to edit it and post.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here.
But no, you're just in the other room.
Yeah, exactly. I'm in timeout in the corner, dunce cap.
Yeah, the West Coast has some cool seasons that extend their Canadas and stuff way out there to March and stuff.
Oh yeah,
I know New York
and stuff.
New York does a honker season up until the middle of March. Yeah,
that's crazy. I just I think and out Oregon, Washington, or something. I think all the way through February. Yeah, they're.
Yeah, we were talking to Mario and FA. Was that a couple of podcasts ago? The ones that are right before this one.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how their lessers and stuff, they'll be able to shoot them late in the March or going into March kind of thing, which that'd be nice to go after some lessers that time.
I think we need to work less and hunt more. We need to travel.
Yeah.
I like the idea of that.
Well,
I'm going to pitch that campaign to the.
Yeah, we'll be from New York hunting big honkers in March, and then we'll fly and go shoot lessers on the West Coast. Maybe I don't think you can shoot specks, but they just hunt into February and March, which we don't. We kind of start wrapping things up in the February with the honkers and stuff. But I know Kansas goes longer, right?
Yeah, the Kansas honker season goes to the second or third week of February.
Mid-February, I know, and then there's usually a late big duck season in January too.
Yeah, so normally in Kansas you have your split. So where I live, I kind of minimize the split because I'm right between two duck zones. So one zone's closed, well, I can hunt in the other one. So that's really nice to have. But generally, end of December, the split starts, and then the southeast zone is usually about a week long. But then the late zone is about 2 weeks long. So you're losing about 1 week in January to hunt ducks, but the goose season's still open. And by that point in the year, things are most likely getting frozen up. Ducks are leaving. It's goose time.
Yep. 6 honkers.
6 honkers.
Exactly. Not 3. I need to get on them. Last year we got into a couple, but I didn't get the whole 6 honker limit. So I need to work on that this year. But last year was my first year in Kansas, so.
Wouldn't it be something with the 3 goose limit? You just go out, you set all these decoys, you get the first group to come in, you have 3 shells in your gun, you just nail 3 right off the bat, and you pack up and go home.
Oh, I've done it. It's fun because you're like, wow, man, we just hammered them. But then you're like, I spent an hour setting up. The hunt was over within 15 minutes, and now I got an hour to pack back up. I don't know.
I've been a part of a few of those.
Yeah, mixed emotions on that. And of course, it was a 2-bird limit when I first really started chasing honkers. So it wasn't 3 for 3. It was 3 shells, 2 birds type thing. But yeah, literally we got set up in a spot, and we knew there was about a 9 o'clock fly to honkers. So we got set up we got there about 7. We were set up by 8, and they happened to come out a little early, about 8:20. We shot our birds, and by 8:30 we were spent an hour picking up. And you're like, I mean, yeah, it's kind of cool and all, but man, a lot of work for 2 minutes of shooting.
Yeah, and you don't get that time in the field that you just get to hang out.
Exactly. The snacks, the stories, the BS, the whatever. It's fun, the camaraderie. And yeah, it was, we set up, we sat down. I don't even think we pulled any snacks out, and here come the birds, and that was it. You're like, all right, well.
That's what happened this past weekend with teal. We got in there, and we woke up at 6 o'clock. Sunrise is shooting time is like 6:45-ish, somewhere in there. So we got up at 6. We got to the field by like 6:20. Walked in the blind, threw out the decoys, and we didn't even have a chance to sit down before shooting light. And 18 minutes later, we were limited out.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeez.
So, yeah, literally no break, no sit down, no dead time.
No. You just get in there, shoot the gun, get out.
That's fine. I guess, I mean, yeah, you just turn around and pick right back up.
Yeah, I don't feel like those hunts are as rewarding. I mean, yeah, you're shooting your birds, you're getting done really quick, but it's not as much of a hunt.
No, I agree. I like putting in the work to a hunt like that, but then I also, like you said, the camaraderie where you're just sitting there and you're killing time, telling stories, laughing, cutting up, eating, drinking coffee. I like all the stuff that goes along with the shooting of the birds.
Oh yeah,
that's just the icing.
Yeah. So is that the hunt that I think you had that you posted that video of setting up that blind?
Yeah, the one I posted 2 days ago.
Yeah. So then you have, what is it going up today? The video of the hunt.
Video of the hunt's going up today.
So you have 18 minutes of footage.
No,
you have more than that. But
no. Yeah. And believe it or not, that quick of a hunt with so much going on, editing that kind of a video is just hard. You don't know what's good, what's bad, and then all of it's happening when it's still really dark out, so your cameras aren't really picking up much of anything. I really do enjoy those. You get in the blind, first group comes in, you shoot them, you pick them up, go back to the blind, 2 minutes later, next group. Those ones, I like to have like a little bit of a pace going, when it's just all hell breaking loose.
It's just chaos.
It's just chaos.
Yeah, you can't plan for chaos, and there's no good way to present chaos.
Mm-mm.
You just kind of have to let chaos regurgitate all over the screen. It's just, here it is.
Yeah, that's what this video is. It's just chaos regurgitated.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good way to put it.
What else do we want to hit
something
here?
unique that you do on your big ducks, and I haven't seen you do it on your teal yet, but kayak hunting in public land.
Yeah, I actually did that on Monday.
Did you?
Yeah, I took it out to the bottoms. That was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Sweet. First ducks out of the old canoe that I got.
So canoe this time, not a kayak?
Yeah, it's a solo canoe, but made by Old Town.
Really?
So it's their solo sportsman. It's pretty sweet. It's a little shorter than the kayak, and it's a little smaller, but I'm trying to figure out how much I like it compared to the kayak. Yeah. Each of them, they're just so different in different ways. So it just depends on the situation.
So do you prefer a kayak or a canoe over like a sneak boat?
I've never used a sneak boat.
Gotcha.
I really do like the kayak. It's super stable.
And they're more manageable than a sneak boat. Sneak boats can be pretty big and heavy.
Yeah, my kayak, I'd say with the blind on it, it's probably about 100 pounds.
Well, the cool thing about what you're doing, I mean, you like to fish too. So if anybody else is listening to this, he's got a fishing kayak, but it's not necessarily a hunting kayak. It's kind of an all-around, or is it a fishing style?
Well, it's designed for fishing, but it can be used for hunting.
But he's got, in the spring, it's not just sitting up there in your garage, maybe like a sneak boat is, where you don't use it. Mm-hmm. You're out there, catching bass and crappie off your local conservation lakes with it, or maybe you're up in the, north ends of the reservoirs fishing, and then when it's hunting season, it's just converted over. Now you're shooting ducks out of it. So, that's a pretty cool way of thinking about it,
It's a multi-purpose year-round watercraft that you can use. And I've gone through and busted ice on it and just crushed through it. It was pretty cool. But the only hard part is you need a push pole. Otherwise, you can't stick your paddle through the ice. It's a little difficult. So you need a push pole to push yourself through the ice.
How deep of water are you typically hunting?
So it depends on where I go and the flooding conditions. Last year we had some pretty good flooding, and I was hunting in like 4.5 to 5 foot deep of water in a spot where it's normally like 6 inches.
Jeez.
Yeah. So this was on a big lake too. So it was nice because I was able to get into those spots where walk-in hunters couldn't go and where they used to normally be able to go. So I had all those spots that at one point in time I could walk across the whole cove of the lake. Well, now it was 5 foot deep. Yeah. So I was able to get in those spots where most people couldn't.
Yeah. We noticed that some when it flooding like that on even marshes, our conservation marshes that we have around here, it can get too deep in some areas where it eliminates you from going any farther, and then the guys with the sneak boats or the boats can actually get back there and the walk-ins can't. So, instead of not buying a full-on John boat, the whole thing, I know it's a one-person kind of thing. You can't put 3 of your buddies in there, but you can get all your buddies to jump in and get some and get things rigged up, get your blind figured out, or your nylap or die cut, all that stuff you lay on top of you. They're quiet. I like that.
You can put lights on the front of them too. I did that, and it made a huge difference because if you're paddling a kayak at night, it gets kind of spooky. If you don't have enough lights, it gets spooky.
Really?
And then you can get lost really easily too. I had that happen. One of my lights shorted out because I had it wired wrong. So I was in the middle of a marsh that I knew it really well, and I was just paddling around. I made one big circle, thinking I was just going straight. So having good lighting makes a big difference.
That's good. Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea.
And you have your decoys floating behind you or in the boat with you?
I put them in the boat because if you just have them floating behind you, everybody thinks that you can just float them behind you and it'll be no big deal. When you're floating them behind you, you're creating a lot of drag. And so I like to phrase it like normally you're one paddle, one push of the paddle, you're going pretty easily. Well, with decoys behind you, to get that same amount of force, it takes about 2 to 3 paddles. So you're causing more work on yourself if you're trying to drag them behind you. So I put them in the back of the kayak. My kayak can hold about 2 to 2.5 dozen mallard decoys, and my canoe can hold about 2.
Really?
Yeah.
Kayak holds more, huh?
But you can also just attach a sled to the back and drag that along.
And that eliminates some of that drag. It's not as bad.
Sure.
Gotcha.
Well, that and too, if you just drag them behind you, if there's any wind at all, I mean, they're just going to catch wind too. And that current or whatever, that's going to pull you the wrong direction too.
And if you're running Texas rigs, your rigs could get caught in vegetation in the marsh and all that. So it can be, it seems like a great idea. If you're just sitting at home looking at it, I'm just going to clip them on the back and just drag along. You do that within the first 2 minutes, you're like, this is a horrible idea.
Instantly regret it. That's funny.
That's pretty sweet. So what else do you run 2.5 dozen decoys, big duck hunting, and you run a couple mojos or lucky ducks?
Yeah, so I use some mojos and lucky ducks, and normally I give it until middle of November, early December, then I stop using them. Just because the ducks start to flare off of them. I've never really had a huge opinion on mojos over water. With teal hunting, yeah, I think teal love mojos and they'll come into them. But with big ducks, I've never had an experience where I'm hunting with mojos and I'm like, that is the reason why these ducks came in. Because I'm normally trying to get in the spots where they want to be already. And if anything, I've seen more mojos ruin hunts than make them better with big ducks.
Yeah, it's a controversial topic sometimes, especially into the season a little bit. All sorts of people in different parts of the country are like, we're pulling them, we're using them, we love them, we hate them. Some guys I've seen out there on reservoir hunts have 30 on a water spread.
Sunny day, cloudy day.
Yeah,
exactly.
What's it going to make the difference?
I think a lot of times too, what we've done is we'll hunt big water and we'll see some ducks in the distance, and so we'll call at them and we'll have them running. But if we see that they turn and come our direction, a lot of times we'll just shut them off. So we'll use them as something maybe just to get their attention, just to think there's something going on over there, and then we just kill them.
Yeah.
So like you said, because I definitely have seen them flare birds.
But I know with the group of guys we hunt with, we also we more believe in water motion. So from as simple as a jerk rig, but we like pulsators, we love pulsators, and wonder ducks or whatever that move enough water to where your spread looks alive, even though there's only 2 or 3 things moving, but they put out enough motion to where it kind of makes all 24 or 36 ducks look like they're doing something, and I think that really helps because that water doesn't look like a boring sheet of glass to where
Yeah, each guy we hunt with has a double spinning wing pack, and usually one spinner and one water motion. So everybody's got one of each. So we try to fill the spread with all sorts of motion.
Yeah, I
Looks like
love
a
that.
circus out there.
I love that double spinning wing pack. I fit 3 Dove Mojos, a Teal Mojo, and 2 Lucky Ducks in it
Yeah.
with camera gear and shells and food and coffee. Like, that thing is sweet.
It is. It is a great pack. I use it as a pack to haul in spinning wings and water motion, and that's my blind bag too. It's everything.
Yeah, it's everything all in one. But when I'm kayak hunting, I don't even bring a bag. I just bring my essentials, which is like my coffee, my shells, my gun, and then decoys. So that's it's a little different because when you're walking hunting, you tend to pack in a lot more than what you need. And when you get in a kayak where you've got a very limited amount of space, you learn how to cut down on all that unneeded stuff because you're not needing stuff to build a blind on public land. I mean, you're just down to the basics, and I like that a lot.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I tend
Sometimes
to bring the kitchen sink.
Yeah.
That's my problem. I tend to bring the kitchen sink.
Yeah, and you're talking about getting another sled. Do you get another sled? We're really going to bring the kitchen sink, or at least the kitchen grill or something.
Yeah, that's true. Well, last year after fighting 24 Bigfoots on one sled or whatever we tried to do.
Yeah, last year we were hunting a lot of public land for honkers, and our spread through the month of goose season got bigger and bigger and bigger. So we're getting up over the 10 dozen range, and this is all by force. Like there's no UTV, no gator, nothing to get this stuff out to the field. No truck and trailer stand. It's all like you got to get it in on your back on a sled somehow.
I literally think we tried to put 4 bags of Bigfoots on one sled, and we sort of did it. But I mean, that's kind of why I want another sled.
Well, what you could do is just get a big long stick or a pole or something and just slide the handles of your decoy bags on there and just have 2 people carry them. Kind of like there's like Egyptian things.
Yeah, I've done that with deer before.
We need to try
out of
that.
Public ground. I've done that with a deer before, crossing ditches and stuff. But
We need to try that.
That's absolutely like wooden dowels. I mean, 6-foot wooden dowels fit in the truck bed.
Just take the hanging rod out of your closet and just use that.
Yeah, there you go.
Don't tell the wife.
Yeah, exactly. That's not a bad idea either.
Yeah, because we were also bringing in
Layout blinds.
6 layout blinds, and then coming up on 10 dozen honker decoys of various shapes and sizes, all in bags. And that was interesting.
That could be a pain.
I'm predicting a snowy winter, so that's my excuse for just getting a sled anyway.
Yeah.
And then
You get a sled. We sell a ton of jet sleds at the store, but they're so hard to ship online. But you get a sled on snow, it's like your favorite thing. You get a sled on mud,
or gravel.
You just want to pull your hair out.
It's like it'd be like kayaking with 4 dozen decoys behind you.
Yeah, that's why I bought a garden wagon. Like the
I
big
do have
ones
one of
with
those too.
Like the big tires on it.
yeah.
I used that, except I got stuck in mud with that thing.
Really?
The wheels wouldn't even turn.
Oh,
It was great walking in on frozen ground, though.
yeah.
I have a garden cart also. It had a dump function, but I secured it so it doesn't dump because it kept like tipping over when I was using it. I also siliconed the bolts that were attached to like the frame for the tires. So like if I did get in small water, I could still pull it through and not get everything soaked. But we use it for like a lot of places we hunt. There's levees or there's just a trail on dry ground to get to where you want to hunt in the water. So you might have, but I'm talking mile to 2 mile at tops is probably the most I've seen. And like I said, either on your back, you don't want to drag it on the ground. One of those little carts just gives the ability to roll it on those trails.
Yeah. I've seen somebody ride a bike in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now there's a lot of electric bikes too.
Which I don't know. I haven't figured out. We need to ask about that because these places that we go to, they're like no motor vehicle.
Well, it's not. Well, I mean, I guess it's a motor. It's not gas, but
it's not gas. It's an electronic motor. We've got that figured out if that's frowned upon yet.
Yeah. That's a good question.
Yeah.
Because you could probably put a little trailer behind that thing.
Oh, man.
They make them, for the Rambo bikes, the Quiet Cats. I mean, there's
Rambo
multiple
bikes,
different
there's
brands
tons,
now.
and outside of the hunting industry, there's brands of electric bikes. So.
Oh, yeah.
And these things have hours, like battery hours that are crazy, have tons of torque. I mean, you could really haul, you could really haul some gear out there on these electric bikes. We just got to figure out where's the line. We need to ask some of our conservation buddies what they think. I mean, they have pedals, so
Yeah. But I mean, if you think about it, what is the impact difference between an electric bike and a regular bike? There's no impact to the environment as far as difference.
it's just unfair to the guy who doesn't have one.
Well, I mean,
Well, they should have got one.
Yeah.
exactly. How do you say what's fair and not fair? I mean, yeah.
Nah, I'm messing around, but
Yeah. I mean, I get the whole motorized thing. Sure.
no 4-wheelers and dirt bikes causing
Yeah.
a ruckus, hurting the hunting.
Yeah, sure.
You take a little bike in there, it's not going to hurt anybody.
Exactly.
So,
Okay.
Now you
Food
make me
for
want to
thought.
get one.
I know, food for thought.
Yeah.
I want one now too.
I bet you could have some crazy mods like a kayak trailer, electric bike, all the decoys. That would be a sick public land rig, just cruising. Yeah, I'm going to go 5 miles in and drop the kayak and then hunt this hole. I don't think I could have. Walking in, you can't say that.
No.
5 miles in with duck hunting gear is hard to do.
Yeah, it would be.
Half a mile in with duck hunting gear is hard to do.
Yes. How far is that spot that we go off that far point that we drug in past where we went with the Bigfoots? That's probably half a mile.
No, it was more. It was like 1.7.
No, are you serious?
Yeah,
Well, I knew it sucked.
I did it on X.
No wonder that sucked. It was a 1.7 mile.
And that's before all the hills. That's just on X, marking a line. We went here, and here.
That's awful. So what do you use for scouting? Mainly Google Earth?
Yeah, and I'll just drive around.
So, yeah.
I just watch the ducks. They tell me where to go.
Boots on the ground, windshield time, and Google Earth.
As best as I can. Other times I'm just not scouting. I just go and hope for the best. That's
think
what I
we've
did
all
on
done
Monday.
Yeah, we've all been there and done that.
Yeah, that's kind of what we did Saturday when we just got back from out of town and we haven't had really time to scout, and so we just kind of went just to get out because we wanted just to get out and do it.
So what do you say some of your most popular videos are going to be? Are they the how-to videos, the tips, the tricks?
No, the most popular ones are definitely the ones where I film an actual hunt. And
Banging out ducks.
Banging out ducks. My most popular video now is one that I filmed last year where I was hunting on my kayak on public land. It was an awesome hunt.
Was it at that marshy area where it's like you kind of had like an open pool, then you had like some grass, and then you had a little bit of water behind it. It was really ducky looking, but you had a pretty consistent.
Clouds of ducks everywhere.
Yeah, weren't you going to class like right after that?
No, it was after. I went after I went to class. When I was
Gotcha.
in college.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Glad to be done with that.
I kind of miss it a little bit. I miss having the time.
Yeah.
Because when I'm working this part-time job, it's kind of eliminating that time that I had when I was in class.
Sure.
I could get up and edit a video and go to class by 9, but now get up, go to work at 7:30, get back by 3:30, and half the day's over.
Yeah. Adulting, it sucks.
If you could be a college student, I've heard a lot of guys who really got into waterfowl hunting is because they would go in their first class to be at like 10:30.
Oh, yeah.
And they would be in the duck marsh every morning, finding out where they're at, shooting them, and then go walking into class in their wader pants.
Oh, there's people out there, I'm sure probably a couple at this table that have planned their semester schedules around hunting.
Well,
Let's
why would you do something silly like that?
Let's be honest here.
I didn't have class until 11 o'clock last semester.
Exactly. Oh, that's fun. That's fun. Yeah, we've all done that.
Yeah. So if you're in high school, about to go to college, this whole starting at 8 and 9 thing, you might want to rethink that if you're a duck hunter.
At least for 2 days of the week.
Yes. That's correct. So yeah, your Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday. If there's the pro tip of the week here, schedule your classes after 10 a.m.
Yep. Or at least your Friday class. Earliest is at 9, so you can get out and scout those birds before the weekend.
I don't know. I always like to be done with class like by noon on Fridays because I went to school far away from where I lived, so that let me start the weekend at like noon.
Yeah.
But that was on Fridays. But yeah, I always did the Tuesday, Thursdays. I think my first class was like at 11 or something like that because I wanted those mornings to study.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. I was studying.
Oh yeah. There's lots of studying that happens.
Yeah, studying the duck migration is what I was studying. All right. What else do we want to talk about? So much stuff. You don't do a lot of big game hunting, though. It's predominantly fishing and waterfowl.
Yeah, fishing and waterfowl is pretty much all that I do. Went on my first quail hunt this past January. That was pretty fun. I could totally get into that.
Oh, yeah. Quail and pheasants are a blast. There's not a lot of them. I mean, obviously, Kansas is doing better on that situation.
For sure.
Missouri, and, of course, prairie chickens out there, too.
Yeah, I've shot a couple prairie chickens.
I've never shot or eaten one.
I always get my prairie chicken permit when I get my goose permit, usually, my duck permit. Because while I goose hunt, there's prairie chickens, and I've had them fly into the goose spread. It's awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
The only time I see them when I'm out in Kansas is when I'm with my buddy trapping. And, of course, we'll be out checking traps and we'll flush them up or whatever. But other than that, I've never really seen them while waterfowl hunting. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see them fly over and land in the goose spread. You're just there at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Nothing's happening. You've been there since like 7. And you look up and you see this prairie chicken just gliding right into the decoys. And you're like, whoa, what's going on here?
This is going to be fun. Boom.
Yeah. Wake your buddy up who's taking a nap.
Yeah. So what's your bucket list waterfowl hunts? Are you sandhill crane? You going out in the coast or big diver hunts? What do you think?
I've been having to think about that. I want to get sandhill cranes knocked off the list this year, if I can. I'd really like to get that done. But something I keep going back to is just brants. I want to shoot a bunch of brants.
Really?
Yeah.
They're cool.
Yeah.
They're cool looking. I'll give you that. I don't know. I'm still on the whole like cinnamon teal and, stuff that we just don't see around here. Obviously, we don't see brants either, but I don't know. For some reason, I want that teal slam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Up in the Northwest, the seasons, I think, can be confusing, but the amount of goose species or subspecies that they
ridiculous.
get to play around with over there is like crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And that kind of sounds fun to me because you get to see all sorts of different types, shapes, and all that stuff. But
well, yeah, on the FA podcast that is actually right before this one, talking with Mario, it was 2 podcasts ago. There's like 6 or 7 subspecies of geese in Washington and Oregon, and some you can shoot, some you can't shoot. Duskies and brants and cacklers and honkers, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, that sounds fun, but I know there's some that
it sounds fun if you got someone that knows what they're doing with you, especially when it comes to the one you can't shoot.
Yeah, was that the dusky?
Yeah, you can't shoot them in certain spots, and I'm like, holy smokes.
But that kind of sounded fun to get that much variety.
Oh, absolutely.
But
absolutely.
I also would like to go on a field spec hunt that's just strictly spec, just awesome.
I know some guys we can probably hit up for that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of specs in Kansas.
Yeah.
Really? Where at?
In the state?
Just kidding.
In the state. But
4B.
Yeah. 4B, yeah, there you go.
4B.
But we run into specs a lot last year during honker season, which was fun. We definitely called in a bunch of them. We called in some during duck season. We're out in the duck spread and we're still calling them in to water, and we were shooting them, but we haven't really decided to go full-on spec hunting, which I don't think we need to. I think we need to have our spec decoys, and some of us now are getting a little bit more proficient on our spec calls, and I think this year we're gonna go at them a little bit better than last year. But last year, it's just I can't believe how many we're starting to see.
Yeah. Do you hunt for a lot of specs out there, or are they just kind of a bonus bird for you?
They're a bonus bird. I had one hunt last year, public land, went and set up in a field, drug 7 dozen decoys in the field with me. And I shot 1 spec.
Hey.
And that was a good day. Ending with calling in a spec with a Canada call. I had 2 specs come in about 35 yards, and they wouldn't get any closer. And got one of them. It was pretty tarred up too, so it was pretty cool.
I was going to say, I think we shot a couple specs last year, and most of the time when we were getting specs, they were either hanging up just outside of shooting range, or we'd get them into that 35 range and have to poke them. That one we got to fully commit. The one that Bobby and I doubled up on. I mean, that thing was fully committed. It was going to land in the decoys, and before it got there.
That was a crazy morning. That spec was lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, we last year in January when spec season was closed, we had like 50 specs hover over us at like 20 yards. It was just stupid.
That's what they do.
It was like you're not in season. Why are you doing this to us? And all these honkers are flying away from us because they're the only ones in season.
Well, up until the last couple of years, that's all we would get during the conservation order. It seemed like you'd be sitting there and some would be coming in, with the sun at their back, so you really couldn't see or something like that. It'd be evening or afternoon, and you see 10 or 15 birds cupped up. They're coming in silent, and you're like, all right, boys, get ready. And then one of them would laugh at you. And then you're like, okay, just nope, put the guns down, because they'd come in silent and you wouldn't know until one of them finally, made the
Chuckle.
noise. Yeah, give you the old giggle.
Giggle chicken.
Other than that, yeah, we're seeing them now during hunting season at least.
See, we're seeing them. I've seen them like early on in duck season. Me and Houston were out by ourselves on the lake, and we had a pretty good morning as it is. And then I see a group of like 30 plus specks just cruising around the lake. They were trying to come down. They were trying to sit and rest. And I just popped that speck call out, and we knocked 3 out of that group.
Yeah, first of November is when it seems like they start rolling through, but it's usually at night.
I think there was more specks than I had duck decoys, but it was just that call. Yeah,
That's crazy.
That's what it looked like.
So what do you get into a lot of honkers or lessers where you're at in Kansas?
Honkers.
Honkers.
A lot of big geese.
Yeah.
A lot of big geese.
I hate seeing clouds of little geese. Absolutely hate it.
That's good. That's good. Of course, we talked to Bobby, and he shoots a ton of lessers, but he's down by Emporia. So, yeah, I guess it's real weird because we don't even get tiny geese over here on the Missouri side hardly at all, which is really weird. But do you see quite a few lessers where you're?
I've seen them here and there, but mainly it's just a lot of honkers, which is what I like to see.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Honkers like to play.
Yes.
And, you don't have to set out 60 dozen decoys with 120 dozen snow socks just to kill 6 lessers. If you're setting up for honkers, you can get it done with 2 dozen decoys if you're in the right spot.
If you're in the right spot, yeah.
And that's what I really like to see, because I know lessers, there's just so many eyes on you, and they're just a pain. They're a pain in the butt.
They're picky.
They're picky, yeah. You get the big honkers, yeah, you got to get everything tied up in a bow, but they'll play a little better, especially in those smaller groups. You get a 4-pack of honkers flying over you, there's a chance that even if you're trafficking, you could get a close enough shot at them. They'd play.
Yeah, for sure.
And when they commit, they commit.
Oh, yeah. I got really into honker hunting last season, especially over water. It's just, there's nothing better than shooting big geese over water. They just commit so hard.
They do.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And they're fun to shoot. When they fold, they're fun to watch.
I love seeing a group of about 8 to 10 start maple leafing coming into a water spread, and then they just get lit up, and then you have geese all over the place and big splashes. It's just great.
And they land 10 yards from your blind. It's just like, this isn't even fair.
It's fun.
Yeah.
That is fun. So you've got what, 2 or 3 states that you're going to hunt for big ducks this year. You going to chase geese in all those same states?
I don't know. I think Kansas and Missouri will chase geese, and we'll see about Nebraska. My guy in Nebraska, he's like 5 hours away from me, so it's kind of a haul to get up there, but I'd like to go up there because he gets a lot of snows and lessers, which, I mean, it'd be fun to do that every once in a while, but not every day.
Yeah, it doesn't take priority for me either.
Yeah.
Just to be honest, snow geese don't take priority.
Snow geese are the white devil.
I've
had them screw me over so many times, and luckily, from where I've been hunting the past 4 years, we hardly get any snow geese. But when 30 of them come through and land on a field right next to you, all those birds go to that one field. And even if you try to put out snow socks, which we did this like the next day, we had a few snow socks, we put them out. The honkers hated them.
I've probably could count. It'd probably take 2 hands to count the number of times we've scouted snow geese in a field 2 days in a row. So we're on the X. We go set up 500, 600 decoys in that field they were in the night before, only for them to move to the next field over. And you're like, yeah, and as soon as, like you said, as soon as 30 live birds go in that field, the next 5,000 go to that field. And it's frustrating. And that's why, yeah, you're on the X. You've scouted that field 2 days. Nope, they go to the next field.
Yeah.
It's aggravating. That's why we should shoot them all.
Yeah.
Shoot them all. Anything else you want to hit, Chandler?
We
want to talk. We're just now approaching an hour, so
we'll have to do another one of these. But yeah, check out Josh's Outdoor Limits channel if you want to see some public land do it yourself.
How-to videos, hunting videos.
Yep. You can also check out our YouTube page. We just talk about decoys, though.
Yeah, all we do is we talk about new decoys that are out, and
But yeah, no, I mean, I'm excited for public land. I'm excited for big duck. I'll be back from out of town. I'm traveling a lot right now, so I'm gonna struggle to get out in the next 2 or 3 weeks. But I'm excited. I'll be back and ready to go for big duck season. It's gonna be lights out this year.
Hopefully.
that's what we hope for. A lot of water, not a lot of food, so it could be interesting. What are your thoughts?
You said that so professionally.
Yes.
Oh, I don't know. They're going to be here. They're always.
Do you think we'll hold them as long as we typically hold them?
Well, with the way cornfields look right now, I think they look pretty darn good. They'll just have to go elsewhere for their food.
Mm-hmm.
We'll hunt them in their loaves.
Yeah.
So it's nothing different than hunting ducks where they roost somewhere with no food. They fly off to go get food and they live somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's just like a farm pond situation.
Yeah.
I think we'll be fine. It's just adapting.
I think Kansas, it'll be very similar. I think Missouri is where you might see some changes because the public ground where there's usually tons of food where they can roost and loaf and do it all in one place, they can't. So that'll change the dynamic a little bit, but
it could give hunters better opportunities too. With those
absolutely.
refuges not holding as much food, those birds will go elsewhere.
Yeah, I was going to add to that. We might be focusing on more of our dry field duck hunting this year. Because, we have spots by the river and spots that were flooded, but we also have spots that didn't get affected, they're going to be great for food, but they're not necessarily by a river or by a lake or something like that, but they can still potentially be in traffic or still be used as a feeding. So we might actually hunt more dry field this year. I don't know.
I'd love to get more dry field ducks.
I
went a whole year without them. No, I want them back.
yeah, no kidding. It is so much fun because it's not, I wouldn't say it's less work by any means, but it's just different.
We had a blast going out
awesome.
last year with the honker season open and the duck season open. And we didn't care that we didn't shoot a honker, but we shot ducks in the field.
Well, that was what was crazy. Yeah, we put out all the goose decoys, and we had mallards read the script and couldn't scratch out a goose to save our lives.
Yeah, the geese were...
The duck hunting was better with...
The geese were going somewhere. They had maybe an exit there. Didn't really care about us, but the ducks, man, they loved every bit of it, and we didn't care. We were just taking it all. They came in and they just they banked in, came straight in. They didn't even think about passing a couple of times. They just right in.
Yeah.
Read the script.
That's fun.
It's a blast.
Yeah, we'll have to get together on some hunts this year. It is so much fun, especially dry field hunting. I like water hunting. It's funny because I used to dry field hunt for honkers and water hunt for ducks, and now I like to dry field hunt for ducks and water hunt for honkers. It's kind of role reversal there. It's kind of fun, but I'll take any type of hunting, really.
Oh, yeah.
Just whatever. If we're hunting water, I can do it. If we're hunting fields, I'll do it. I don't discriminate against waterfowl
I
hunting.
like them both, but for some reason I love the water, how messy, how everything gets soaked, waders. I just like that whole concept.
Yeah. How's that inertia system like that?
Yeah. My SB1 does great. I'm not saying it's the cleanest.
Yeah.
But it rocks.
I had to break down my inertia system last year. It was a bad deal. Clean it. So, all right. Anything else? Any final thoughts? Do you have any final thoughts?
Mm-mm.
No?
I don't think so.
Check out your YouTube.
Check out my YouTube.
Yes.
Got an Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
Outdoor Limits on all three?
Yeah. Just search it. You'd find it.
All right. Chandler, any final thoughts?
So, Roger's double spinning backpack. You heard it from Josh.
Yes.
It's the best backpack out in the world.
Absolutely.
The best. I'd take it to class if I could.
Yeah, I suppose you could.
We should have modular dividers in there so you could take it to class. You could take it.
So then you don't have to worry about running home to get your backpack to go after you're done duck hunting before class.
Exactly.
You got that 11 o'clock class. You got to just get those 9 o'clock birds, pack up, get there, be in class by 10.
Yeah.
You got your mojo on one side. You got your algebra, your calc, all that on the other side.
I wasn't that smart. I didn't take those classes. Wow.
Yeah.
No, my final thought is going to be for those that are already in school this semester, that's too bad. But those who are in high school are going to be taking college classes. You start after 11 a.m. in the fall. Mm-hmm. That's my final thought.
Or if you're a big turkey hunter, do it in the spring.
Yes, do it in the spring. Absolutely. There you go.
If you like to fish, come on, hit that sunrise and fish until.
But the sun comes up so early then.
Yeah, that's true.
So if you got a 9 o'clock class, you could fish for 2 to 3 hours and be back there just in time.
Yeah, but I mean, there's still, depending on what state you're in, there's still waterfowl hunting and conservation orders to be had in spring. So yeah, schedule your classes after 11 a.m. It's not that big of a deal. Just, yeah. So, okay, that's it. Final thoughts.